Okay, so yes, to rehash, Matthew chapter 13 has that's terrible. Sorry, has been nothing but Jesus speaking to his disciples in parables. We are also, if I'm not mistaken, are we there yet? We are not there yet. That's actually the beginning of chapter 14. Beginning of chapter 14, we only have one more parable. Actually, no. Yeah, we have one parable left in chapter 13 before we get into chapter 14, and that actually starts with John the Baptist being beheaded. And we'll discuss why when we get there. So in like 2 weeks. Why are you laughing? I don't know that. But so far, we have been talking about, was it the first parable in chapter 13 was the parable of the sower. How you had we had four different ground types, and one actually took the seeds and they grew up into flowers. The analogy or the symbolism, one behind Jesus speaking and all these agricultural metaphors is because that was the time. That was what they did for a living. They farmed. They were farmers. So all these parables around farming, that's why. So they can get it. We could do parables these days too if we transform the parable of the sower into like the parable of the smartphones. You have like iPhones and you had Samsungs, then you have like the flip phones that no one ever gets and like Nokias. That's probably not an app description, but you get what I'm talking about. Yeah. Jesus was using the times and like the culture to try and get to people. Uh, that was parable of the sower. Each ground was different. One was actually the soil was actually good enough to actually hold the seeds and actually grew fruit. That soil is a person who like understands the gospel, takes the gospel to heart, allows Jesus and allows God into their heart to transform them, and they went to bear more good fruit. There was other ground like rocky soil. There was soil with weeds, and then there was dirt. There's four different types of soil, but the soil was the metaphor for the different types of people. You have different types of people who would either hear the gospel, understand the gospel, but would allow life to get in their way and strangle the gospel. The soil with the weeds. You have, was it the soil that was like completely rocky and wasn't able to bear any fruit? That was people who heard the gospel, didn't want to hear the gospel. Um, yep. Going into the parable of the weeds. And then after the parable of the weeds, there was the parable of the mustard seed and the yeast. The next, Jesus actually explains the parable of the weeds, um, how farmer in the middle, farmer planted his crops, and in the middle of the night, his enemy went and planted weeds to grow in the crop as well. So what ended up happening was the weeds and the good crop grew together, and at the end of the day, we would have to either collect the weeds and then bundle them and burn them, or they can just, his helpers, like, hey, do we cut everything down and start fresh? And the farmer said, no, we let everything grow and then we separate the two together, separate the two from each other. Essentially, that's saying the farmer, God, planted seeds, grows up us, but then the weeds, life, gets in the way. And at the end of the day, it's up to the farmer to, hey, at the end of the weeds, the growing process, we separate the good wheat from the chaff. Next one, we have the was it parable of Louise explained, and then the parable of the hidden treasure and the pearl. Essentially, man comes along the route and sees this hidden treasure buried in the field. Uh, he was so happy that he bought the entire field. So back then, right, if somebody were to find a treasure on someone else's land or unpurchased land, technically it would belong to the government. So this person was so happy that they found this treasure, they bought the entire field. The treasure that they found, treasure of the gospel. You get so happy that you want to buy the entire field. You would shell out no expense to purchase that field because of the treasure that's on it. Same thing with the pearl. Kingdom of Heaven is like a merchant looking for fine pearls. When he found one of great value, he went away and sold everything that he had and bought it. And now we are at the parable of the net, Matthew chapter 13, verses 47 through 52. And take it away. 52.
Oh, that digs into New and Old Treasure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Ain't John. You want to say it any time?
Second.
You want to read it any time? Any point?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a net that was thrown into the sea and gathered fish of every kind. When it is full, men drew it ashore and sat down and sorted the good into containers, but threw away the bad. So it will be at the end of the age. The angels will come out and separate the evil from the righteous, and throw them into the fiery furnace. In that place, there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth.
Mm-hmm.
Have you understood all these things? They said. They said to him, yes. And he said to them, therefore, every scribe who has been trained for the kingdom of heaven is like a master of a house, who brings out his treasure, what is new and what is old.
Cool. Send it.
Once again, the kingdom of heaven is like a net that was let down into the lake and caught all kinds of fish. When it was full, the fishermen pulled it up on the shore. Then they sat down and collected the good fish in baskets, but threw the bad away. This is how it will be at the end of the age. The angels will come and separate the wicked from the righteous, and throw them into the blazing furnace, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Have you have you understood all these things? Jesus asked. Yes, they replied. He said to them, therefore, every teacher of the law who has become a disciple in the kingdom of heaven is like the owner of a house who brings out of his storeroom new treasures as well as old.
Okay. So a recap of even who Matthew was, because we've been reading his book, we've been reading his gospel for a minute now, going on over a year. So just to recap, Matthew was born a Jew, born by the name of his original name was Levi, mentioned in Mark chapter 2 and Luke chapter 5. The only two places that his actual name is mentioned. He was a tax collector for the Roman government and was therefore considered a traitor. And he became a disciple of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ when he personally called him and said, follow me. Just two words. I mentioned this earlier. This parable is a direct link to Matthew chapter 4, verse 19, to which Jesus said to Andrew and Peter, if I'm not mistaken, or the brothers, I apologize. He said to them, follow me and I will make you fishers of men. Yes. This parable is similar to the parable of the weeds. Look back at verses 24 through 30. It describes the gathering of the righteous and the wicked and their subsequent fates. We've been kind of discussing that for each of these parables, actually. The kingdom of heaven will consist of those who won't follow Jesus. If we look at verse 47, a dragnet. What even is that? So a dragnet it's a net that floats on one end and there are weights on the other end. And then fishermen use this particular net to cast into the sea, and it allows the weight end to sink to a sufficient depth. So when they pull it in, they scoop up everything in its path. So you can kind of catch the symmetry here. The net that we use as Christians it's the Bible. Yep, it's the gospel. Verse 48. But the bad that they threw out, the fishermen sorted out the fish, just like the reapers sorted out the wheat and the weeds. If you look back at verse 40 with the parable of the weeds, at the end of that parable, the farmer said, "Hey, we're gonna let both grow up, and then at the end, we're gonna cut all of it down. And we're gonna separate the good stuff from the bad stuff. The good stuff we keep, store in the barn. The bad stuff, we're gonna bundle it all together and throw it in the lake of fire." Verse 50. Verse 50. When it says, and throw them into the blazing furnace. I just read that from the NIV version. From the ESV, into the fiery furnace, either blazing furnace or fiery furnace. Do you know how hot you have to describe something twice? And also keep this in mind too. This is something a little bit of a like a literary note. So New Testament, Old Testament, they would either use the same word twice, or they'll use like a description like this to re-emphasize like how something was. So if you see, uh, for example, they would be like Hosanna, Hosanna in the highest. They're describing Jesus twice. Almost think of it like almost what was it higher than exponents logarithmic terms. So instead of something to like an exponent to like the 10th power, the x power, instead of something going up in a straight, so it goes like curves up. Yeah,
It's like
logarithm, right?
Like this is a calculus.
yeah, it's
I failed
logarithms, but it'll be
calculus,
exponential.
Okay,
Instead
sure.
of,
Yeah, that. Sorry.
Yeah.
I also wasn't that great at trig, so
Yeah,
there's
the other
that,
two, yeah.
or calculus. But when they do something twice like this, it just like helps emphasize like the importance or the significance. So in both of these versions, all of our versions actually, fiery furnace, we see that also described in Daniel as well before they go into the fire furnace, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And here as well. That's hot, man. That's hot.
So
Still not as hot as hell, though.
I was about to say that's what.
Still not as hot as hell. Think about that. But it's that hot that you have to give credence to just how hot that is. Fiery furnace, blazing furnace. That's hot, man. And then on top of that, they even add at the end of it where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So we're gonna cry. So you've cried before. I've cried before, right? Whenever we have the passing of a loved one, we cry a little bit harder, right? Think about that type of crying, but times 10. And then like gnashing of teeth, like if you like grind your teeth, okay, that's just like slight grinding. But gnashing of teeth, we're talking about like biting down hard, almost like to the point where you're almost like you're breaking your own teeth. So there's going to be weeping and gnashing of teeth in this blazing fire. I'm sorry, in this blazing furnace or this fiery furnace. So you're hot, boils, bursting, just can't get away from this heat, and you are just like weeping and just like gnashing your teeth. That's what it's going to be like here. And there's actually two other verses, you straight, two other verses in Revelation that go into this a little bit more. So if you look at Revelation 19:20, chapter 19, verse 20, it says, "And the beast was captured, and with it the false prophet who in its presence had done the signs by which he deceived those who had received the mark of the beast and those who worshipped its image. These two were thrown alive into the lake of fire that burns with sulfur." You have phones. Look up the chemical sulfur and what it does to a human body. I'll wait.
My bad.
You good?
Bro, why does it keep telling me the benefits, bro? Yo. Can sulfur kill you? There we go. Yeah. Certain sulfur compounds and gases are hazardous, can be fatal under specific conditions. Um,
So there is in the digestive system, if there's too much sulfur, granted sulfur is part of the building blocks of our human body. And we kind of do need sulfur to live. A little bit, a little bit. Digestive signs. There's like a foul smelling gas. So like rotten eggs. We'll sometimes smell that with the water every now and then, right?
yeah.
Bloating and pain, abdominal cramps, pressure, and general discomfort, bowel issues, diarrhea, loose stools. There's some neurological signs. There's respiratory and skin reactions. So it's not the best thing in the world, right? At super high volumes.
Yeah.
Now let's look at Revelation 20, verse 10. And the devil who had deceived them was thrown into the lake of fire and sulfur, where the beast and the false prophet were, and they will be tormented day and night forever and ever. Wild. Because where they're going would also be the same place that everyone else who didn't receive the gospel is going. Everybody else who mocked God and mocked Jesus. Everybody else who heard the gospel was like, nah, I don't need that. That's not for me. They're going to the same place where the devil and who had deceived them was thrown, and the beast and the false prophet, where they will be tormented day and night forever and ever. So go back to verse 50, where there's going to be a blazing furnace or fiery furnace, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth forever and ever. You will be always crying, and you will always be gnashing your teeth.
Mm-mm.
Yep.
That scares me, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah. And just think that's not just gonna be like until I get reincarnated to a new body. No. We don't believe in that stuff around here.
It's like it's a guy.
No. That is going to be forever.
Bro, you're stuck. You're not moving, bro.
Nope.
That's it.
Nope. No, I mean
Once you're there, you're like, that's
it.
that.
Don't pass go. Don't collect $200.
Yeah, he's giving plenty of mercy. Way too much. In fact.
Yeah, man.
So, oh man.
Yep.
A second one happening? Nah. That's
Nope.
you're top, bro.
And then last little bit, verse 52. For this reason, Jesus is simply answering affirmatively, positively, that they become responsible for making the truth known to others. So it's our job as disciples. It's my job, our job collectively, to tell people about the gospel, share our testimonies. How were we saved? When were we saved? What happened? Just be real people. And then new and old things, going into also verse 52. That's the disciples then now are now understanding or beginning to understand the new things that Jesus is teaching them, while also understanding the traditions from the scriptures that they already knew. So things that you already know, in this instance, like shells of the Bible, like some concepts of the Bible, all of those which you've already shared with us. Now with this new stuff that you're learning, like, oh, that clicks now. Just like we were talking about before, like, oh, that makes a whole lot of sense now. Okay, yeah.
Well, good thing I already do that.
See? So, when a few questions for y'all, then we'll wrap up. But okay, Tom. When someone says the word angel, what kind of image comes to mind?
If I didn't find out or figure out what people think accurate images of angels look like, then I would think a person with wings, um, in like a white cloak coming down. My version is a little different because everybody thinks of it like white drapes.
Mhm.
Nah, like a full cloak, hood on, but everything is white and pure. That's how. But you can't see their face. Obviously, it's like
Yeah.
blacked out. But that's what I would have thought about. But now I think about giant rings and eyes all over the place, wings everywhere. So with a big eyeball in the middle. So yeah,
I feel that. What you, man?
I gotta say it's a similar thing to Jaden. I mean, I think I still choose to think about the woman white in like a white cloak, blonde hair, coming down with wings. But
Okay.
I do know about the rings and eyes.
Okay. No, I like to think same of like your stereotypical like paladin.
yeah,
That I like white armor or like
Yeah.
platinum armor,
yeah.
silver stained, um, giant sword, hood. Can't see.
Archangel
See-
Michael coming down.
Can't see can't see their face, but they have like either like shining wings or
Yeah.
like 4 like 6 like giant wings,
Yeah.
and they're just like bathed in starlight, just not starlight, but like bathed in light, like a sun,
Yeah.
like the sun.
Or that one character from Overwatch.
Not Mercy. Don't. Why are you saying that?
I just think about the meme.
I mean, that's basically what you described, but
Oh.
it's like they're not bulky. It's a woman.
It's a woman.
In a slimmer body.
Gotcha.
But she has angel wings and she heals people. So
I would hope they'd heal people.
It's Overwatch.
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, that's what that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
I've had I think that, so. They're like ranked in my mind a little bit. Like there's different rankings. Like Archangel Michael, the way that you described it is what I would probably think he looks like. Pretty sick, by the way. I ain't gonna lie. But
What's that?
What you say?
Hmm.
I didn't hear what you said.
What's that?
What's what?
What looks like?
Like what you described.
Oh, gotcha. Sorry, I wasn't. At some point in time, my brain just like disconnected what we were talking about. I was like,
I can't tell if you're
who looks sick? Like,
yeah, I was confused. I was like, wait, what?
That's my fault, man. No, not that time. I truly that. My brain like disconnected. Like,
Bro,
I thought we were having two
out
separate.
of nowhere. I was like, did I miss
No,
that?
you're good.
Something?
I thought we were having two separate conversations for a second.
Yeah, that's why I would think an Archangel Michael looks like. But somebody drew what they thought an angel looked like, and it was like a muscular man, leaner, but no bottom half, right? And their wings, there's like 8 of them covering the bottom half of their legs and their face, and like they have arms and a torso, but they don't. Like you don't see their legs or their face.
I think that's actually in Revelation, if I'm not mistaken.
And that's what he drew, and I was like, I mean, that's kind of sick too. I mean, it kind of looks cool.
Feet of gold.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's in Revelation.
And then there's different names for them. I don't know what the different names are.
Yeah, that's in Revelation.
Okay.
That might be the next book we get into. We'll see. Why are people often reluctant to talk about hell?
Because
why are we often reluctant or hesitant to talk about hell?
Because I feel like that makes a lot of people afraid to even get into a relationship with God. Only because.
Well, I mean, that's kind of like it's like a backwards thing. Because like, well, if you don't serve God, you're gonna go to hell. So I'm not gonna serve God. I'm still gonna go to hell. But I mean, I would have said that like in general, just like a scary thing to think about sometimes. Like if I don't do right, like if I don't, like what if I run out of time, or something, and then it's like, and I don't make it, then this is just my fate.
I mean, it is a scary thing to think about. We just one of the big reason why I wanted to hit at those particular verses, verse 50 here in Matthew chapter 13, but also the 2 verse in Revelation, because hell is a thing. Too often there are preachers and ministers and bishops and churches in general that just want to preach the goody, hey, Jesus loves you, you don't have nothing to worry about message. Hell's a thing, y'all.
Yeah.
And what Jesus was just describing, that's just like the tip of the iceberg. That is just the tip of the iceberg, bro. But at the end of the day, like we're not we're in a business of not like temporary words. We're now in the business of our soul being in a particular place for all eternity, away from loved ones for all eternity. We are either going to be burning, weeping, and gnashing our teeth for all eternity, or we're going to be in streets of gold with Jesus and our loved ones, praising Him 24/7 for all eternity. It is kind of scary. It's kind of just like a mic drop moment, but at the same time, like time isn't too late. We have enough time to change our lives around. If Judgment Day happened tomorrow, we just gotta let Jesus in our heart.
I'm a little afraid if Judgment Day happens tomorrow, I'm kind of shocked, bro. Like,
Nah, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that, bro.
that's my biggest fear. Is like, if I end up doing a sinful action or in the middle of a sinful action and then Judgment Day happens, I'm like, well, dang, bro. Like, this is horrible timing, bro. You know, I don't know. Yeah, stuff like that. That's a little worrisome.
Last question. And in what way can you remind yourself of heaven this week? In what way can you remind yourself of heaven?
Of heaven?
Mm-hmm.
Weird way is that we're not alone. That's the easiest. That for me, that's the easiest way I can remind myself of that is because we'll never be alone in heaven. And the easiest way to bring that down is we're never alone right now.
I mean, just like the this month's journal topic. No, He's never gonna leave us alone. We never are alone. Just when we think we are alone, we're not. Nope, we're not. Y'all have any questions?
No.
Cool. Well, then this wraps it up. Until next time.